Hello and welcome to Movie Night Mates, a real-time film commentary podcast. I am your host, Dan, and I'm joined as I am every other-ish week now for our review episodes. Our good friend, fellow movie enjoyer, and stinky cheese addict, Avery.
Hey.
Hello, Avery. How you doing?
Good. I'm good.
Good. First episode as a 13-year-old. It's pretty exciting.
I know, right?
It's been your birthday this week, so yeah. And this week we are once again without Jess because of her technical difficulties. But she should be back next week. Next week's my birthday episode. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna pick, but it's gonna be a commentary for sure. Maybe the Batman, maybe Mad Max Fury Road. I don't know. Because those are both two of my favorites and very good. But then there's also like Back to the Future or Shaun of the Dead movies where I know just like so much shit about them that I feel like would be really interesting to listen to. But, you know, Jess has seen those before and I don't know. I want to do the Batman, but it's 3 hours long and recording for 3 hours straight is a lot. Especially when you're supposed to be like celebrating your birthday.
Yeah.
But please excuse me if my voice is a little echoier. Actually, both of our voices, as both of us are in the process of moving from different areas right now. So our rooms are a little bit more bare. I'm moving into a place and Avery's moving out of their place. So bare rooms. Mine's like half done. Should be good though, going forward. And this week we're doing a review of the hottest film off of Disney Plus, not in theaters for I don't really know what reason why. This would have probably done pretty well at theaters. There's nothing really else in terms of kids' movies to compete with right now, and it's about to be summer. I have no clue why they didn't put this in theaters. But Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, a movie written by Dan Greger and Doug Mand and directed by Akiva Schaffer, starring Andy Samberg and John Mulaney. Andy Samberg and Akiva Schaffer, obviously two of the three members of The Lonely Island, who is a group I'm a huge fan of. I don't know about you, Avery.
Not so much. I just don't know them as well, but I know you like them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you watched any like SNL digital short in the 2000s, you probably know who they are, and early 2010s. They've gone on to very big success. Andy Samberg is a household name basically at this point and has starred in some really successful shows, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and movies like Palm Springs, which I personally love. I thought that was a super underrated movie when that came out. Oh, that might be a good commentary episode. That movie also came out at a really good time because it came out the summer of the first pandemic lockdown in 2020. So it was like, it felt really pertinent because it's just about people who are stuck doing the exact same thing, not able to leave this one area and just kind of going slowly crazy, but also like coming to peace with that. Really suggest that one. Check it out. Anyway, so Akiva Schaffer, director. He also directed The Lonely Island's first movie and every movie that they've done. Hot Rod and Popstar Never Stop, Never Stopping, both of which I think are fucking hilarious movies. Popstar is probably the best comedy of the 2010s, I might dare to say. It's really up there. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I think I saw it with you.
Okay. Yeah, it came out in 2016.
Only once.
It was kind of a box office failure because it was really poorly marketed. Like, they didn't want it to be a Justin Bieber parody. Like, that's not what they were going for, but like the marketing team insisted on making like, it was originally not going to be, it was just going to be called Connor for Real, but they made it like change it to be like a Justin Bieber parody title and like made all the marketing make it just seem like a basically like one of those epic movie, date movie, disaster movie kind of things, except for Justin Bieber, and it's totally not that. Hot Rod's also great. Anyway, this movie stars Andy Samberg as Dale, John Mulaney as Chip, Will Arnett as Sweet Pete, Eric Bana is in this as Monterey Jack, Keegan-Michael Key, Seth Rogen, J.K. Simmons. It's an amazing group of people. Tress MacNeille as well, and Kiki Lane. So this is a sort of reboot, but kind of adaptation of the 1989 cartoon series, which I've never watched, and I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay,
I thought you
so
did.
both of us are going into this completely, like, non-fans of the original show. I was, out of, like, all of those old Disney TV shows, the only one I've seen is, like, DuckTales, and that's kind of it. And mostly I've just seen the reboot of DuckTales, which is amazing and has a really good cast. But this, I think that we're both going into it kind of on the back foot of not being able to just, like, tap into the nostalgia of it and be like, oh my god, it's Chip and Dale, I loved that show. So I feel like we're coming to it from a fresh perspective of, you know, Zillennials, Gen Z, not like the OMG 90s kids people. So I guess we can just do a quick non-spoiler reaction. I think this movie is totally worth checking out. I will call it a good movie, and it's also free if you have Disney Plus, so you're not really losing anything by checking it out. I think that it was really entertaining. Maybe not for, like, the youngest kids, like maybe 6 and above. It could get really freaky to the end. It's kind of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit levels of creepy, or like the first E, or like the original E.T. I would say, like, kind of has that vibe to it. It earns the PG rating, which I love in kids movies when they are rated PG and they, like, actually use it instead of just being a G movie that's just called PG. But yeah, I would say definitely check it out, especially if you're already a fan of either Chip and Dale or Disney or any of the main voice actors in it as well, because they are all very much at the top of their game. I think it's worth checking out. How about you, Avery?
Yeah, I thought it was... I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I'd recommend it. Thought it was a fun time.
Good. Very different from our last review, His House, we'll say. Very different there. And I've just been listening more and, like, learning about the history behind His House, and I've thought about it since, and I'm enjoying it more upon reflection than I did in my original review. It sits with you. I've thought about it a lot, which is either a really good signifier for a movie or a really bad signifier for a movie. But I didn't think about it going like, yeah, and about this one part, it's more like, oh yeah, I didn't notice that before, and like all this stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Anyway, let's just jump into Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. We're going to be throwing out spoilers willy-nilly from here on out. William-nillium, you may call it, from here on out. So just be warned. The movie starts out with, like, a fun kind of, like, twist on the Disney intro where a bunch of the Disney intros just get, like, zapped and turned into all the other different variations. So that was kind of fun and gives you a clue as to what's going to happen in the rest of the movie. Starts in 1982 where Chip and Dale meet each other. We get, like, a kind of, if you've seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit world, where it's humans and cartoons just kind of living easily with each other. You don't really ask questions about how, like, they came to be, or it's just there. And that results in some really good jokes, like visual gags, I think, later in the movie. As well, we kind of get, like, a hierarchy from Dale of the Chip and Dale, starting with the male dancers, and then I think, like, a furniture, and then them, which I thought was really funny to kind of just address that off the bat. I was kind of wondering, like, if they were ever going to make a joke about that, because there's this, if you're not familiar, like, probably the most famous, like, male stripper dancer group is Chip and Dale's. Like, it's like a company you could hire. I don't know if they're still around.
I think they're in Vegas.
Vegas, yeah.
They do, like, shows, and they, like, go. You can't, like, hire them to go to your house, but they do, like.
Oh, really?
Like
okay.
Magic Mike
like Magic
type
Mike
shit.
shit. Yeah. I thought that was good too, to kind of just address that one off the bat, especially for all the parents and older people watching this like us. And, like, from the get-go, I was just, like, scanning for cameos, so a lot of my notes are just cameos that I noticed in the background.
Yeah.
We're introduced to Dale as a kid, very adorable, and he, like, is going to school for the first time at a new school. He doesn't really have any friends. He has a little tiny table to sit at. That was my favorite thing, was that all the small animated characters had tiny houses and tiny rooms and stuff to live in that were just, like, full scale so they could just live normally. But like, I thought that was just really good. And he meets Chip there, who like kind of comes over and introduces himself, and they hit it off. And Chip is like definitely more analytical and smarter, while Dale is like a bit goofier, and as he'll say, the stupid one. Later, we see a transformer and like all this crazy shit attending their high school, I guess high school or middle school, whatever it is. They start like kind of a production company, like a production of sorts. Like they just start like acting and singing and dancing and stuff, and kind of making Dale the butt of the joke a lot of the time. And then we get kind of a quick transition to them being picked up for the show Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers in 1989. We get like the Chip and Dale theme song, which is a good one. It's not as good as DuckTales, but it'll still get stuck in your head. Like for 2 days afterwards, I was going Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. I don't know about you.
No,
but
I mean the one that Cuphead gets me. I would never skip that intro. That one.
I still haven't
the best one.
The Netflix show.
Yeah,
I still haven't seen that.
That theme song slaps.
I've heard it's very good. I've heard
Yes.
it's good, and like weirdly like kid oriented, and I feel bad for any kids who watch it and then be like, I want to play the game, then just get like fucking destroyed on the first level.
Oh god,
because that's a fucking hard game. We like the Rescue Rangers are kind of like this 5-man band, which is like a trope. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's like, you know, there's a leader, the right-hand man, the smart one, the big one, and then the girl. It's just like the classic dynamic set up by all these things. Power Rangers had it, all this stuff. So there's Chip, Dale, Monterey Jack, who is this big mouse who loves cheese, Gadget, who's like the fixer-upper mechanic of the team, and then Zipper, who is a housefly and just a member of the Rescue Rangers, and he's voiced later on by Dennis Haysbert, the guy from the State Farm commercials. So that was fucking wild.
Yeah.
And we get like a cameo from Akiva Schaffer, the director of the movie, who's the director of the show in the show. And it was at this point where I was just really kind of in awe from the like blending of animation and real life. Like the last time,
feel like dizzying or like confusing.
And the last time I saw hand drawn is probably Roger Rabbit. Like I can't really think of anything that wasn't. It was just really good. And then also CGI later, like CGI characters who are existing as CGI in their world, which is fucking crazy. It's a really cool idea. And it has to be said, I don't know if you felt this too. Have you seen the new Space Jam movie?
No.
Or Ready Player One?
No.
Okay. So both of those movies are kind of similar to this in the sense that they have a lot of like cameos and appearances from characters from other stuff, but like I feel like all of the cameos and everything in this served a purpose. They weren't just kind of put there like, let's just have a cameo here, it'll be cool. It was more like, we have a joke about Beavis and Butthead or whatever, fucking Gucci Dobby in the background. Did you spot that in one scene? It was one of the posters was Dobby from Harry Potter in a Gucci ad.
Wasn't it? Yeah, okay.
It was so good. But it felt more
Jared
like
Leto's character.
Yeah, it just felt more functional than both of those movies. I would say the worst is Space Jam: A New Legacy. It's fucking awful. It's a terrible movie that just exists to advertise HBO Max more or less and all the stuff that Warner Brothers have the rights to, because they'll just like have in the background of this fucking basketball game that goes on for an hour in the movie, they'll just like have the Iron Giant and Mystery Inc. or the fucking guys or Pennywise or a Clockwork Orange characters in a kid's movie. But it's just mostly like, oh, they're there and they're cheering in the background. They don't really serve a purpose. There's no jokes based off of them as characters. It's just like, look what we have.
Just a flex.
Yeah, and this, I felt like they really, being a Disney movie, they could have just gone crazy. They could have had superheroes out your ass. They could have had Star Wars characters. They could have had everything, but they chose not to do that and just kind of use what they wanted for the jokes, which I really, really appreciated. But we move on. Rescue Rangers is a huge hit. They're doing really well. They're on their third season, and it's at this point that Dale kind of wants to move on because he's sort of sick of being like the butt of the joke, and even though he like is impulsive and goofy, he's like, I'm more than that. I'm not the like hero leader one, and I'm kind of sick of it. So he gets signed on for a show called Double O Dale and leaves Rescue Rangers due to his kind of jealousy of Chip. And right after he leaves, Rescue Rangers is canceled, and Double O Dale doesn't make it past its pilot episode. We also see when they're like partying for like Chip and Dale's success, Paula Abdul and the cat from her Two Steps Forward music video are there, along with Roger Rabbit himself, which I thought was really cool. Yeah. Then it flashes forward to present day, and Dale is kind of just a washed up has-been who is claiming on like his Instagram, because the whole thing, plot point of this movie is that he's just like always on Instagram Live, basically, which is very accurate for like, you see these washed up like actors who just kind of do con circuits now for a show they were in like 30 years ago, and,
The Office.
haven't done haven't really done anything since. I love The Office.
Yeah, no, same.
It's good.
Same. But like, do
I
something
can't
else.
listen to that podcast, man.
Oh,
I
no.
listened to like the first 3 episodes and I was like,
Like,
Do
do something else. I'm sorry.
yeah. And I know
I mean,
it's
make your
hard.
money,
I know that
but-
it's hard to be an actor and to just, it's hard to just say,
Yeah,
get
also you
another job.
remembered. Yeah, you remembered so much
Yeah.
for that.
But like,
They're smart for profiting off it, but it's kind
hell
of
yeah, hell yeah. I mean, the one that I like the most is like the Scrubs one, because both of them have gone on to do other stuff, so it's like, it feels a little less sad. I feel like we've talked about this before, but like, it just makes me feel like, like if it was John Krasinski and, oh my god.
Fisher?
No, I almost said Colin Farrell. No, not Will Ferrell. Fuck. What is his name? Steve Carell doing it. It would be a little bit different because like both of them have gone on to massive success. Still love them, still love the show, but it's just like, it is a little weird. Maybe we should start a podcast and only talk about musicals and plays we did in high school. Like
We'd run out after like
3 episodes.
yeah.
Anyway, Dale is at a convention. No one's there to see him. This convention I wrote down was like, this is just going to be the death of me. He sees Baloo, who's like just had a resurgence because he got the CGI surgery, they call it, because of the reboot of Jungle Book. Lumiere is there. Tigra's there, who was from like some Avengers show in the 90s. And the best cameo in this movie.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Do you want to say who it is, Avery?
It's Sonic, the original Sonic.
Ugly
though.
Sonic.
The Ugly
And his
Sonic.
character's name is credited as Ugly Sonic, and everyone refers to him as Ugly Sonic. And he's different from regular Sonic in this world, which I loved. He was so freaky,
God,
and I
it was
can't
so
believe that they
weird.
got the rights to do that, to just make fun of this thing. Because
Well,
they don't
also made
own...
fun of cats.
Yeah, exactly. But the cats thing is more, you can just say that that's anything. This is, they
Yeah.
literally call
Oh,
him
yeah.
Ugly Sonic. And he's,
And he literally
he's-
talked about how the fans had
Yeah,
a huge backlash over him. They had to
and
change
like
him.
they focus on his human teeth and
Oh
his
my
weird
God.
eyes and everything. He's voiced by Tim Robinson from the Netflix show I Think You Should Leave and Detroiters and stuff.
Oh
so
my God.
yeah, so he's the
I don't want to be around anymore.
yeah, there's too much fucking shit on me. I can't breathe. I'm gonna rip the fucking head off. I'm gonna rip the fucking head off. Oh my god. The first time I saw that clip, I could not breathe. I was laughing so hard. That and the these fuckers ever bust out of the wall and just like you see their massive hairy nut. Anyway, go watch I Think You Should Leave. It's literally one of the funniest things on TV right now. But Dale is upset that he hasn't been able to recapture the magic, and he's clearly regrets stopping Rescue Rangers, and he's been like putting rumors out that they're getting a reboot when they're totally not. And they the other congoers are like, well, you're not that interesting without Chip. Like, you guys are a pair. It's not that interesting to see you separate.
Yeah.
Which is something I thought they were going to address maybe and make it be like, by the end of the movie, they're friends, but everybody now knows them individually, and they don't really do that, which was a little weird. I thought they were setting us up for that. Meanwhile, he's also had a CG surgery as well, Dale, so he's no longer hand-drawn. He's like a Alvin and the Chipmunks looking motherfucker. We then cut to Chip, who is an insurance agent, voiced by John Mulaney, who's in a bit of hot water right now. We won't go into that because I don't want to deal with it.
Him? I thought you were talking about Chip. I was like, what?
No, John Mulaney, just the Dave Chappelle thing.
Yeah.
And everything. And so he is saying he's like kind of content with life, but he's clearly very alone. He goes to his tiny house, and he has a dog as a pet, but it's just a full-size dog.
Yeah.
So this also functions as the
about
dog's
his
like, like functions as the dog's house as well, like a dog house for the dog, which is really cool and just like really fun and inventive. And he's flipping through the channels on the way home. We see he's lonely. He's walking and he's these AirPods in, and they're like enormous. And I love it when he comes home because like there's just like melancholy kind of music playing as he's walking. So you think that's just what he's listening to, and then he comes in and he's like, "I'm home," and he takes them off, and there's just like this screamo death metal coming out of them for like
and
a second.
And the pop sound of it coming out of his ears is cute.
It was very good. Then we have another cameo here that I can't read. So great job, my writing. Yeah, he's watching Alvin and the Chipmunks though, and like Alvin and the Chipmunks, they have kind of like a rivalry with, and he's like, God, like, you know it's bad when cartoon characters start to rap. Like, that's when they've really like gone down the drain. And he gets a message from Monterey Jack, who is in trouble. Monterey Jack, voiced by Eric Bana, who is in a fuck ton of other stuff. He was in the new Star Trek movies and stuff. But he's known for way more than that. That's just the immediately... He's also in, like, Troy and a lot of other movies. And he bought too much cheese, stinky cheese. He's an addict to stinky cheese, and he owes money to what he calls the Valley Gang. And he's asking Chip to come help, which he does. And Chip goes to visit Monterey Jack at his home, which is nicer than both Chip and Dale's houses. So clearly he was the responsible one with his money out of all of them. And Chip gets there, and Monterey Jack explains the process of bootlegging, which happens to toons who can't pay back their debts. So the Valley Gang, where basically they take you, switch out your discernible features, but make you still close enough so that they can make bootleg movies based off of you. So it's like, have you heard like Asylum Pictures? They're a really famous company who just do these knockoffs all the time.
Wait, they do? That's a thing?
Oh yeah. It's wholly based in real life. Where
I didn't know.
These sorry if you can hear me typing. Asylum Pictures. Looking them up so I can get a nice list. They're just called The Asylum, but you know, you go to like the grocery store and you see like movies called like Karate Panda or whatever. That's like Kung Fu Panda knockoffs. Let's see some other ones. They've done H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds the same year that the Tom Cruise War of the Worlds came out. They did Legion of the Dead for Dawn of the Dead. No, they just do a movie that's very similar and make the cover art very similar to the original. it like really got it. They most became most famous in 2007 when they released Transmorphers, the same year that Transformers came out, and AVH, Alien versus Hunter, I Am Omega instead of I Am Legend, Death Racers instead of Death Race, Journey to the Center of the Earth, because that's public domain, same year that movie came out. And they've just been doing this ever since. Like, for every movie that comes out, they have something to go with it. They're also the company behind Sharknado. That's like their first original famous thing. But
top
yeah,
tier.
so check them out. If you ever
That's
want,
crazy that you could
laugh.
just steal titles. Like
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh just came out for public domain and they're making a horror movie.
Yeah, I saw that. It looks fucking crazy. Really demented. Maybe we'll do a review of that when that comes out. Jess, our other host, is a huge Winnie the Pooh fan, like from childhood. So
Can't
maybe
wait
she'll
to
have some
scar
shit to
her.
say about that.
Yeah.
And he reveals that Gidget and Zipper are together and they have 42 kids. Sorry, Gadget. I'm going to keep doing that. Then Dale shows up because he also got a message from Monterey Jack, so it's the first time he and Chip have really seen each other since the early 90s, and it's really awkward. And, you know, they're like, it's kind of the Parent Trap-ish. And they're like, we'll see if we can help you, Monterey Jack, but, you know, we're not going to work together kind of things. You kind of got yourself into this. And then Dale is trying to get Chip to do a reboot, and he's not interested, and he leaves. And he's going down the Walk of Fame, and there are just so many visual jokes here. Squidward is on the Walk of Fame, along with Chun-Li. And we see a poster for Batman versus E.T., Dobby on a Gucci ad. It's really good. And then Dale is a Chippendales dancer. We discover that's how he's making money aside from the con. And then Chip goes home and he's watching Batman versus E.T. and crying. And like on the screen it's like E.T. talking to Batman, and Batman's like, E.T.'s like, I forgive you, and Batman's like, okay, we're cool now. Very much making fun of Batman v Superman, and it's so good. But yeah, they got the rights to Batman somehow, even though he is a DC Warner Brothers character and Disney are Marvel, so that's pretty cool. And we find out now that Monterey Jack has been kidnapped, so Chip and Dale return to his apartment building, meet what is his name, Captain Putty, who's kind of like a Gumby ripoff,
like
who
stop
is
motion.
Yeah, he's really funny, and he just keeps getting shit stuck to him because he's made out of clay. And they get called there because they were the last people to see Monterey Jack before he got kidnapped. And we also meet Ellie Steckler, who is a human detective who is a massive Chip and Dale fan. And this is like one of the best jokes because you get used to them being in Monterey Jack's apartment because like they're the appropriate size for it, and then Ellie like calls from outside and the camera turns and she's just like standing at the window because she's a human.
She's like squatting down.
Yeah, and
She's,
it's like
bending
next
over.
to just this tiny building that is his apartment building, and it's just really funny, all those jokes that they pull off. And they don't overdo it either. Like, they do enough and then kind of let it go.
Or they don't say anything about it.
Yeah,
Like,
she
she's just standing
says
there.
that if he's been taken by the Valley Gang, they have 48 hours to find him before he'll be bootlegged. And Chip and Dale decide to reunite to find Monterey Jack. We then get to see Dale's car, his like human-sized
God.
car that he insists on driving in like a tiny little seat, which I thought was really funny. In the background of this scene when they're driving, I think when they're at a stop sign or something, in the background is the mural from Into the Spider-Verse that Miles makes, the Great Expectations one. It's just like really good
Yeah, I didn't
Easter
notice that.
eggs, and like I kind of want to rewatch this movie just to see what I can see in the background.
Yeah.
Dale takes them to Main Street, which I think might be like kind of a play on Main Street USA, which is a part of Disneyland and Disney World, where it's like your first entrance into the Magic Kingdom is like this all-American, very chipper, happy area that smells really good, and there's fun music playing. I don't know if you've ever been, but
I went when I was 5, so
yeah.
I don't remember.
we'll go back, and we can drink around the world. and document it
And
for
die.
Instagram. Yeah. But Dale reveals that it's like just a bunch of tunes selling out, and also like basically a tune black market. So they go to a stinky cheesemonger who is voiced by Keegan-Michael Key, and he's like a Muppet, basically. He's basically the Swedish Chef, but just not. And he works for Sweet Pete, who they find out is the kind of leader of this Valley gang. He takes them into, like, underneath his shop because they say they want the stinkiest cheese, which is, like, code for basically, like, the drug-level cheese. And you see all these famous, like, mice and rats already hanging out down there eating. Yeah, the more please. Is that from something, or is that just this movie?
I don't know, it's just really cute.
Yeah, I literally have that as one of my notes, is more please, mouse.
More please.
No, it's just from this movie. I love that. It was so funny. It's June Schaefer, the daughter of Akiva Schaffer. That's fun. The director. We love, what is it?
Nepotism?
Nepotism. My fucking brain tonight. It's
probably a child.
I'm moved. Yeah, I know. But Dale insists on wearing like this hat and tails suit, and Chip is not very good at doing the interview, and Dale is trying to be this rich person and businessman. So they get kicked out. A business magnate, not a business magnate. We're not covering nearly as many of the jokes because there's just like a joke a minute at least in this movie.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are really well done. I thought it was a good blend of both like visual sight gags, like parodies and references, and then just straight up wordplay and genuine, set up punchline jokes and puns as well. So the cheesemonger kidnaps them to take them to meet Sweet Pete. And I really liked when they wake up in his van being driven there, that they start arguing with each other because, they have a lot of pent up rage, and as they get more intense, their voices get higher and higher as they get faster to like the classic chipmunk voice. I thought that was a cool detail that I guess chipmunks in this world can just put that on if they need to for acting purposes. And they're taken to the valley, which is the Uncanny Valley. This is where we see Cats from Cats and just like really bad animation from what they say is like the early 2000s and stuff, which is really true. All the like fucking Polar Express basically is what I'm thinking of, and Beowulf and all those movies that were like kind of in between looking good, but just they're really uncomfortable to watch because of the Uncanny Valley. And if anybody's listening doesn't know the Uncanny Valley, it's basically this point you get to when you're trying to replicate human features and faces where you're not quite perfect. You've passed the point of being cute or parody or like clearly not human but just evocative of human for like stylistic purposes. It's that area between where you cut off that and when things look genuinely human, of just when they're not quite right, and there's something in our brains that like
freaks
gets
out.
ticked off to that. It's probably some old survival reason. Maybe it has to do with our old hunter surviving in the forest days.
I'm just thinking of Dune right now.
Dune?
The face dancers. Don't get me
I
started.
haven't gotten there yet.
I know. That's all I'm going to say.
What book is that?
2 or 3. I'm on book 5, so.
Shit. By the way, Dune news. I know that's why everybody's here. Austin Butler today got confirmed as Feyd-Rautha for Dune Part 2, which I think is a really good choice.
Yeah.
I know Harry Styles was really high up on a lot of people's lists.
I'm excited to see his career, like, blossoming, because he just did the Elvis.
Yeah, Austin Butler. I mean, he's, like, been in the background, I feel, for a while. I mean, he was in Zoe 101. That's where he started.
Yeah.
But then he was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I don't know if you've seen that. He
Yeah.
plays Tex Watson.
He was good.
Yeah, he's the one who gets his dick bitten off by a dog. Spoiler alert.
Love that.
And
Yum.
yeah, he's in the new Elvis movie, which I want to see. I like Baz Luhrmann. I like Moulin Rouge. That's what I like. And if we ever do that for commentary, it'll be very bad because I will cry. And I will sing and I will cry.
Okay.
Anyway, that's the Uncanny Valley. Oh yeah, and also Christopher Walken as Emperor Shaddam II is fucking crazy shit.
Yeah, I wonder how that's gonna go. I hope
Gotta
he
get the
doesn't really-
spice
Yeah.
off Arrakis.
Oh no. No.
Paul Atreides want to marry my daughter, Princess Irulan. Stab you in the face with a tire iron. That's my terrible impression. So they are taken to meet Seth Rogen's character, who is a
God.
nondescript dwarf who's basically just a parody of Beowulf, that really bad Beowulf movie, and like they have a whole exchange about how he's not looking them in the eyes, and he is. It's really freaky, but kind of a perfect commentary. They literally say Polar Express eyes, and he takes them through Sweet Pete's factory. He is recycling old merch from that was unsold merch. Jesus Christ, my head is just swimming. I'm so tired from moving. Unsold merch, and then they basically melt it down and make it into porta potties. We meet Sweet Pete. It turns out it is Peter Pan, who is now middle-aged and overweight and became a crime boss to make money after he got fired for aging, which I don't know if you know this, is possibly based in real life. If you know the story of the original voice actor, Bobby Driscoll. Okay, so he played Peter Pan. Trigger warnings all over the place. Played Peter Pan in the 1953 movie, and as soon as he started to age, he stopped getting roles and just like really spun out. He got addicted to narcotics, went to prison.
Damn.
And he died at age 31. He was found in like an
Jesus.
abandoned building in the East Village. And yeah, so I don't know if this was
Spit you out.
I don't know if this was like a purposeful thing, but like more or less, yeah, he was just used and by Disney until he became like he did like live events as Peter Pan and all this stuff, and then just kind of got left. And he is now,
That's awful.
his body was unclaimed, and he is buried in an unmarked pauper's grave in New York City's Potter's Field on Hart Island.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is
Holy
like a
shit.
purposeful thing, or if they just like we
Wow.
just got into some true crime shit. Sorry to get heavy there. Or if they were just like, we want an otherwise innocent character that we can twist into something that isn't.
I mean,
but
I
I feel
wouldn't
like
be
Peter
surprised.
Pan is such low-hanging fucking fruit. He's been done to death as a villain. He was done in Once Upon a Time. Like, all these other things have reimagined him as, like, the bad guy. I feel like if you really wanted to go for it, you should have made it, like, fucking Olaf or Elsa or something.
my
Like,
God.
someone, like,
Olaf.
more... Yeah, that would have been fucking great. He's voiced, of course, by Will Arnett, aka Job from Arrested Development and BoJack Horseman.
Look, Michael.
Take a look at Banner, Michael.
Family love Michael.
Oh my
Look
god.
at Banner,
I
Michael.
love that show. We should do an Arrested Development rewatch podcast and pretend we were on the show.
Oh, yeah.
We just pretend to be different actors every week.
Yeah. This is my favorite
And just
scene.
make up fake shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That would actually be pretty funny. And he basically, aside from porta potties, he makes bootlegs. His original bootleg was Flying Bedroom Boy, which he starred in himself, which was a bootleg of Peter Pan. And that's when he like started getting into it and started making more money. So he started kidnapping, basically tricking other famous characters into signing deals or selling them the stinky cheese or whatever. The first person we see who got bootlegged was Flounder, because
Poor guy.
that's who Monterey Jack knew and like tipped him off. And we see so many indications of other characters who have been bootlegged. Like, it's shocking that this hadn't been investigated yet, because they do talk about how they've been investigating these disappearances, the police, but they have nothing to pin on Sweet Pete, so they can't really do anything. Sweet Pete's other henchmen, aside from the dwarf that Bob, that Seth Rogen plays, is Jimmy, a like Coca-Cola bear from like the Coke ads, which I really loved as well. And so Chip and Dale managed to escape by flushing themselves down a toilet.
Flushed away.
Yeah, flushed away style. Loved it. They get like saved by a they grab onto Barbie's hair, but it turns out to be a Rapunzel Barbie, so it just extends and they like, are still gonna fall off as they're like, you know, flying through the sewers, which I thought was a great gag. They escape the sewers with a paddle ball, and we see a poster for Lego Miserable in the background, which I loved.
I didn't notice that. Oh my god.
You didn't? Oh my god. Yeah, it looked fun. It was really quick too. It's like right as they get out of the sewer, and then it's gone. Could you imagine Javert and Lego? No, presumptive makes a one.
With the hands. His Lego hands.
You know what that means. Just him and fucking Hugh Jackman.
And Chris
if you're
Pratt,
looking,
'cause he's in every Lego.
If you're looking for, because you imagine Chris Pratt as Jean Valjean or Marius. If you're looking for a fun time, look up videos of Hugh Jackman singing "Slowed Down." Specifically, "Bring Him Home." It is something else. Go. No. It's the freakiest thing.
Huge
anyway,
man.
Chip and Dale get separated on their way up, and Chip sees Dale's dead, drowned body in a puddle and starts like crying. And then Dale shows up, and he's not really dead. It was a stuffed animal version of Dale, which I don't know if this is a reference to. For 00 Dale as well. I don't know if this is a reference to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where they do a very similar joke where everyone thinks Indy's dead, and then he like walks up next to them and is like, "What is everybody looking at?" And they're like, "Junior," that kind of stuff. They figure out that they can use the step tracker that Sweet Pete has because Dale points it out and says that they should like link up to, you know, compete with one another, and think that they can use it to find wherever Monterey Jack is because Sweet Pete will be going there. So they bring that info to Ellie, who at this point is starting to get a little sus. Ellie tells a story about how when Peppa Pig went missing, she raided the Nick Jr. headquarters, and Paw Patrol attacked them as they were coming in, which I think is just so funny because they're all cops, and so is Paw Patrol.
All cops. It's just one.
Well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know Paw Patrol. I thought
his name
more
is
than
Chase.
one. Oh, well.
The cop, Chase.
All Chase are bastards.
Marshall's my favorite. He's the Dalmatian fire dog.
Yeah, the firemen are awesome.
Yeah.
That's the opinion of this podcast. Firemen equal good. But, you know, in 10 years, some idiot's going to pass a law in Senate that, like, we're going to have to pay for firemen, too. Like, a fucking ambulance. So, that's going to be fun when that happens. We live in a hellscape. Anywho, Dale reveals he has, like, a Chip and Dale memorabilia palace in his garage, which they go to kind of discuss how they're going to find Monterey Jack. This is when Chip starts to suspect that Ellie is in on something because she mentioned that she was from Albany, and he looks at a map that Dale has of all their, like, Nielsen scores or whatever, and it shows that Chip and Dale never aired in Albany. And Dale does a New York accent when they decide... Sorry, I skipped forward. They decide to infiltrate where Sweet Pete goes to work out, to steal his tracker and like sync it so they can get the info. And so they go in as plumbers, and Dale does a amazing New York accent, and he's like, "I'm walking in," like that kind of stuff.
You with no
you know,
brim.
Yeah, you know, my Get it the Aki style, that kind of fun stuff.
Jesus. Yes,
What's-
sir. Yes, sir.
Did he say that too?
Yeah, he goes like,
No.
yes, sir. God. If I saw him do that, I would be like, get the fuck out of here.
I mean, it's really funny to me because, like, in a meta sense, Andy Samberg's from, like, Santa Carla or something in California, and John Mulaney's from Chicago, so... but both obviously lived in New York for years doing SNL, so it's funny to see that. I just like seeing New York being shit on in different ways. Sorry, Avery.
I'm kidding.
I thought you would have enjoyed the New York accent a good
Yeah.
bit. So they go in dressed as rats, which is a plot from a previous episode of their show. And it's important to point out that they weren't already doing this and then got a reality show. They were just actors in the past playing Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. So they never actually had any of these skills, which I thought was fun. Basically, it's like Tropic Thunder, more or less. It's a kid's version of that movie. That's
Without
the closest.
the blackface.
Yeah, that's the closest. Well, that's the closest like equivalent I could find. Yeah, there isn't any blackface in this movie. I can 100% say that. Well, I don't know. I haven't watched it for the Easter eggs. Maybe there is something somewhere. But they go in dressed as rats. They see Randy from South Park in a sauna, which was like the wildest shit for me. And later you see a Big Mouth character. I'm like, what children are watching Big Mouth?
Yeah.
It's like
Definitely for the adults.
Yeah, it's in like the police station. I thought that it was Coach Steve just as a police officer, but apparently it's a character named Detective Flores from Big Mouth. I thought it was just Coach Steve.
It should have been Coach Steve, that creep.
Yeah.
Should be in the police office.
They see Scrooge McDuck bathing in coins, of course. And then they make it to the locker room. Meanwhile, in their fake rat noses is a camera that Ellie is watching and helping them with. But it falls off
Batman
of Dale's
and Catwoman
face.
vibes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god, I love that movie. It falls off Dale's face, so they kind of have to go into the locker room blind. They meet a giant snake there, who is voiced by Flula Borg. In his second appearance on this show. He was also in the Suicide Squad as well, as the character Javelin. And he's like a massive fan of theirs and is like saying like, oh my god, Chip and Dale, like he immediately recognizes them. And he has them do a rap to the Disney afternoon theme song. And it's just like this great weird thing where it just keeps coming back to the fact that neither of them will eat whale, because that's what Dale started with. He's like, well, my name's Dale and I don't eat whale, and it just keeps going back to it. Meanwhile, Chip is really resistant because earlier he was saying that as soon as cartoons start rapping, it's just downhill from there. They're trying to break into Sweet Pete's locker while doing this, and then Dale gives the mic to Chip to take over. And Chip starts with, my name is Chip and I don't eat whale gut. And he's like, oh great, now you have me doing it too. And it's just this really funny back and forth rap, and they start to kind of get back into the swing of things, and it kicks off into a full musical number, sort of. Very Lonely Island style. So clearly they wrote this, and I can't wait for it to come out on some platform like Spotify. So they get Sweet Pete's tracker, and they're able to kind of triangulate where he's been. And it's a warehouse on the docks. So they're rekindling their friendship, partnership kind of deal. And as they leave, Sweet Pete comes in, and the snake shows them... Oh, sorry, Bob comes in, and the snake shows them what he just witnessed and... recorded. And so Chip and Dale are out of there. They have like a big escape kind of situation, and go to raid a warehouse on the docks. Some of the characters that have been bootlegged include Garfield, who became huge and buff, because once they get there, it's Ellie, Captain Putty, like a whole squad of people, Chip and Dale. Flounder, Sneezy, Syndrome, I think, got like from The Incredibles.
Neutron.
No, Jimmy Neutron's later. You see his hair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's like a whole. Oh yeah, Sora from Kingdom Hearts and Jimmy Neutron's hair, all got bootlegged. So that's like another big thing. Is fucking Jimmy Neutron. What's his bootleg called? Smart Space Boy.
Probably.
Rocket Boy. And then Chip and Dale get stuck in the bootleg machine, which is like this hall of lasers that they have to kind of, again, redo something from their show, like call back on that memory and then just kind of redo it to escape. But Chip gets a dog ear, a Snoopy ear in the process.
Got zapped.
And I loved when they got analyzed of like what they could be bootlegged into, and you see a bunch of styles like superheroes, fucking Rick and Morty shows up, and like half of them are just like straight fan art, basically. Like they become like anime sad boys in one of them. I just love that, just like quick little flashes, like so many good jokes. Chip has a Snoopy ear, but they do escape the machine. But in doing so, they realize they see Monterey Jack's mustache there along the wall of bootlegged items and realize that it's too late and they couldn't save him. But they bust the warehouse, and Chip is like, it's like they knew we were coming because no one was there. It was just empty, but there was still like a hot cup of coffee and all this stuff. So then Chip and Dale kind of split again. They get into an argument, and Dale is back at he's supposed to be doing another con, and he's like, you should come with me. Chip gets mad, and he is still mad about Double O Dale, despite saying he wasn't earlier. And yeah, it's not artichokey. I was about to say that. That was a good joke, that like whether or not something is or isn't artichokey. I think it's at this part we also get a reference to the fact that Jack's... Oh, no, that's later. Sorry. Then Chip gives Dale the last Pog for his Pog collection that Chip's been holding on to, and it's like the Pog that was all of them together, and he's obviously been keeping it, and it's, you know, a big significant thing. They're about to part ways, but then Dale smells the Rescue Rangers cologne at the police station, and it was established earlier that only Monterey Jack wore that because it smelled so bad. So they're following it, and in doing so, we see a billboard for, and then they follow it to a room with Captain Putty and Ellie talking about the case and everything. Then they quickly escape the police station. We see a billboard for Senator Butthead from Beavis and Butthead, which I thought was good. In like a scene that's very much evocative of Bad Boys, if you've ever seen either of those movies, or any of those movies. There's now 3 of them, so it's like a lot of Michael Bay shots and lighting, of quick like pans going around their heads and stuff with like the sunset in the background, which I loved. And they're like saying Ellie is sus, she's the secret villain, which I feel is a really welcome commentary on Disney's 2010s propensity for surprise villains, which starts with, spoiler alert, like Hans in Frozen, and then just like everything after that. Wreck-It Ralph has a surprise villain. Big Hero 6 has a surprise villain. Frozen 2 kind of has a surprise villain. Moana sort of has a surprise villain. It's like...
They're all bangers, though.
They're good, but... Yeah, there's something lost, you know, like in not having a villain the whole time, because you don't get a villain song that way. Like, not a proper one. You just get disguised villain songs. But I was really happy that they kind of say it could be Captain Putty, but they're like, no, that'd be too obvious. Like, on our show, it was always just the police captain, so it has to be her. They call Ugly Sonic for help because he's apparently, or they go to the con to get his help because he's apparently doing a reality TV show where he does ride-alongs with the FBI. And they're like, well, can you at least just help us if you can't even bring in the FBI? And he's like, well, I don't go fast. Other Sonic goes fast. I go really slow. And then he like goes in slow motion as Chip and Dale are like focusing on his human mouth and weird face and structure and everything. It's
no
just
lips.
It's so good, especially having watched both of the new Sonic movies and how much better he looks now. It's so weird to go back to that in action. But clearly Sega were like, well, this is going to bring a lot of attention to our better movies, so we'll give them the rights and just not have the same voice actor play him. But also they might be able to just do that under parody law. I don't know if they'd have to get the rights to him. Then they start going through the con, and Bob shows up and all the other Valley Gang henchmen. So they're running through the con, and there's so many rapid-fire cameos. We have Paul Rudd talking about how originally it was going to be called Aunt Man, about a man who has aunt powers. They get caught up in a bunch of My Little Pony characters. They get found out because of Dale's Instagram live stories. That's how they found them. We see fucking Pickle Rick at one point. Skeletor and He-Man as Chip and Dale hide under their table. They're like, Chip, you need a disguise, so they're running through grabbing stuff, and turns out they were in an Indiana Jones store, so we get like Chip in his classic Rescue Rangers outfit now, so they're both in them. We also learn that Peter can no longer fly because he can't have happy thoughts, which I thought was funny, and you get like a weird play on that one song from the movie. One of the Lost Boys is there, and he's like, Peter, we've been looking forever, but the Lost Boy is still young, which raises some questions to me as to whether, like, what's going on here. Yeah. Shouldn't he also have aged? I don't know. It was a little strange. We see Doc McStuffins in one shot, but the best part about the con chase is they make Bob trip into a table for Pumbaa from the live action, in quotes, Lion King, also voiced by Seth Rogen, and all of his other animated characters. So you get Bob, Mantis from Kung Fu Panda, Bob from Monsters vs. Aliens, and they all do the Seth Rogen laugh at him. That was just so good, and I didn't realize how many characters Seth Rogen has voiced at this part. I'm really surprised they didn't put the fucking hot dog from Sausage Party in there too.
Oh my god, yeah.
That would have been, maybe those, I have an idea of them having to have a meeting to take that out because they wanted to put it in but couldn't because if a kid's like, I know these ones, what's this one?
Yeah.
And that movie, I don't know if you know this, is a very veiled metaphor for sex. So
oh my god.
Just write that one down.
Well, I just turned 13, so I'm very new to this.
These are the insights and tip-offs you'll get from listening to this podcast.
Wow.
That kind of, yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is on purpose, but especially when they got outside, they are saved from the Valley Gang by Lumiere and Tigra, which I thought was really cool because they were friends with Dale at the con, and then they light Bob on fire and save them. But Chip is captured during their escape by the Coca-Cola bear, so it's kind of up to Dale to get him back. And like, this is where Dale, I guess it kind of does address that, they can do well on their own, because Chip was always the one who came up with plans and was kind of the leader on the show, so now it's up to Dale to kind of pick out the plot from here and save Chip and save the day. When they got outside, I was like, I don't know if this is purposeful that they made it look like one of those early 2000s like kids movies with an animated character. Like, has like the lighting and like camera work of that, if you know what I mean. Like, immediately I'm thinking like Shaggy Dog, Underdog, the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies, all of those movies from that era where it was like they just have this kind of plastic looking sheen to them. Even like kind of Night at the Museum, but Night at the Museum is amazing, so I won't disparage that movie. So Dale creeps back into the police station. This is where we find out that Jack Skellington has been embezzling money from a charity, and I was like, I really wish we had Jess on for this, because Jess is the like biggest Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah, she loves I don't know if she said this, but when she was a kid, if she said this on the pod, but she hated Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas because she saw her as like in the way of being between her and Jack Skellington. Like, she saw her as an obstacle and competition for Jack Skellington's affection.
That explains a lot. Okay.
Yeah. So Then this is where I thought Coach Steve was, but it was the Detective Flores from Big Mouth. Again, a really weird choice. I get like putting a South Park character in because a lot of kids just like can recognize South Park, but Big Mouth is readily available on Netflix. I feel like a kid could very easily discover that show, and it's very much not for them.
Yeah.
We find out that Pete is an Alvin and the Chipmunks fan, which I find really funny as well, like as just like a bad indicator. And Chip is disgusted at this when he's being interrogated by Sweet Pete. And we also find out that it was Captain Putty who was helping because Ellie and Captain Putty show up to try and save him, and then Captain Putty turns on her and she gets captured as well.
Well, he points a gun at her, and I'm like, girl, that's not gonna do. It's not gonna kill you. Like, I wanted him
We
to
don't
shoot
know.
and her
I
to be
don't know.
like, wait.
You never know what'll come out of that in a fucking cartoon show.
Yeah.
And you know, they just like talk about how cliche it is and bring attention to that, and he makes a whole joke about his tragic backstory about his mother needing surgery and everything, and they're like, really? He's like, no, I just like money. Like, I want more money. It's as simple as that.
Classic cops.
Yeah. So they have Ellie call Dale, who is no longer trusting her, and she like tries to slip him a an indication that one, she is a fan of the show, because they were like, well, she was never really a fan of the show, she was just pretending to be, but she tells him her favorite episode, and that also should be like, she basically saying, go watch it and do what you do in this episode. But he has this like weird jump of logic way of still getting to the fact that they're in trouble, but just completely different, from a different message, and somehow cracks it, and he goes to save them, but his car won't start, so he calls Gadget for help. He goes to Gadget and Zippers. We get this like epic cover of the Chip and Dale theme song, which I really enjoyed. Gadget's voice actress, Tress MacNeille, I'm pretty sure is the same one from the actual show itself. Yep. She played Chip as well on the original show.
Oh, cool.
That's Tress MacNeille. She is one of like the greats out there. She also plays Kanga and a lot of Winnie the Pooh stuff. She's in Recess. She's in Land Before Time, Stitch the movie, Lion King 1.5, Mulan 2, just all this, a bunch of Futurama stuff, and this as well. And so she and Zipper decide to help Dale rescue Chip on their flying machine from the show. And as they're going there, Dale gets a call from his agent, played by Chris Parnell, who hasn't called him in years, saying, there's a lot of buzz, we could do a reboot, you can do movies, all this stuff. And Dale's like, sorry, I need to help my friend, and then throws his iPhone out the window. And they're like, you really shouldn't have done that. This one got like the biggest laugh from me. Like, Andy Samberg's just immediately like, yep, immediately regretted that as I did it. And it was very much his kind of delivery and style of joke, which I really like, that they were clearly able to kind of work that kind of stuff into the script. And where are we here? So Dale flies in and misses his entrance. He gets shot in on a
Firework.
Disney firework, stolen from Disney World, so it turns into a Mickey Mouse head when it goes off. But it hits the machine and breaks it just in time to save Chip, who was going through the bootlegging machine. And then, there's a big dust-up. Chip and Dale kind of empathize with Pete about, very similar situations. They were kind of just left in the dust by, nameless corporation, we'll say. And, like, lost their fame and know how it feels. And, like, Peter starts to kind of soften, but then doubles down on being evil. The machine explodes, and we get a nice, like, what is this? We get the firework joke now of it exploding into Mickey's head. And the bootlegging machine goes out of control and makes Pete into this like monstrosity Disney thing. I saw pieces from Mickey Mouse, Ralph from Wreck-It Ralph,
Yeah.
Lucifer from Cinderella, or Big Cat from the Chip and Dale Show, Woody, Zurg, Optimus Prime, all in this weird like creation, who starts like chasing Chip and Dale and fighting them. They find out that the bootlegs have been happening the whole time, right under their nose, right there. We see a bootlegged Simpsons and Winnie the Pooh before, which you don't really need to do anymore. You don't need to bootleg Winnie the Pooh. He's public domain, as Avery said.
As of 5 months ago, so get to work, everyone.
That explains why Monterey Jack was bootlegged so early, because it wasn't really a 48-hour thing. It was all done right here instead of overseas. We get this really awesome fight between Captain Putty and Ellie, where it's like he's the T-1000 from Terminator 2, if you've ever seen that, and he's like bouncing all over the place. He's melting under doors. It was a really cool concept for a fight. Like, she shreds part of his head with a tennis racket. Like, it's pretty gross. Like, clearly, if it were anything more realistic, we'd have an R-rated movie on our hands. And she ends up just freezing him like the T-1000 in Terminator 2. And I wrote kills him, but apparently doesn't. So, there's that. Pete breaks through an Aladdin ripoff in his chase of Chip and Dale, which I thought was really funny. And this is also when I realized like how well paced this movie was. It was 97 minutes, and there's like never a dull moment, which I really enjoyed, because even in like scenes that are more or less just dialogue without a lot of jokes, you still have a bunch of visual gags in the background to kind of keep you going. And I think it's like really well paced, especially for like kids. And they try to do what they did on the show to lure Pete, who now has a cat's head, under a giant piece of machinery that they can drop on his head, by Dale hitting Chip in the head with a wrench to get all of the birds to show up so that the cat will attack them. And you get this, oh my god, probably my favorite joke in the movie.
Yeah.
He hits him and the birds aren't showing up, and like, what the hell is going on? And then it just cuts to this birdhouse, and it's just like two birds asleep, and one of them just gets a call on his cell phone. He's like, okay, yeah, all right, I'll be right there. And it's just like, yeah, in this world, the animated birds would also just have that as their regular day job.
Yeah.
That was
and the wife complains.
Yeah, she's like, you don't have to go. Yeah.
As if like he's going to war.
Yeah, exactly. But at the last minute, Ugly Sonic and the FBI show up to save them, and arrest Sweet Pete. But at the last moment, he like jumps up and, it's very much a clear reference to Die Hard, tries to shoot Chip with a bullet bill from Mario, maybe? It looked a lot like one of them, like a cannonball kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And Dale jumps in the way and takes the hit. And Chip, again, apologizes to Dale's dead body. But Dale is not dead, and apparently the Pog saved his life. It was in the way of the bullet. So, very Poggers moment, 100%. I have that in my notes. Pog saved the day, underlined, Poggers. And like Chip admits that he didn't have any friends at school before Dale. He needed Dale more than Dale needed him, and he was afraid that he'd realize that, and he did, and all this stuff. So it's a good resolution to their years of pain. They save all of the bootlegged characters, including Monterey Jack, who now has giant Dumbo ears that they're going to fix. And the whole squad is back together again. It's very nice to see them. Obviously, neither of us watched the show, so it wasn't as touching, but it was still kind of fun. And we get the epic Chip and Dale theme again. We get they're like, well, at least we didn't have this like cheesy pop star theme cover of our theme song that doesn't sound anything like the original, and it's just way too overdramatic. And then you get exactly that over the credits, sung by Post Malone.
Yeah, I was like, is this Post Malone doing this shit?
Yeah, it was great. And then you get this great end credit scene with all these fake parody posters and shows. And they do a reboot, and it's successful. And Paul Rudd finally gets to do Aunt Man and all this stuff. And then there's a post-credits or mid-credits tease, I don't know if you saw this, of Darkwing Duck, who is a huge character. A lot of people like Darkwing Duck a lot, saying, like, where's my movie? Which I guess they're probably going to do next. And that's the end of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Great time, brisk, fun, well-written, very funny. And a good soundtrack. One of my cons is the actual, like, score itself. I felt was pretty boring, especially because it said it was Lorne Balfe, who is sorry, not Lorne Balfe, Brian Tyler, who I love. Like, I love a lot of the other stuff that he's written music for. He did the music for, like, Far Cry 3 and all of these other great pieces of music, and it just, this one was kind of fell flat. But we'll go into the kind of review wrap-up section here, and what we do is we rate the movie out of 10, say whether or not we liked it, as well as say our favorite character and our favorite scene. Would you like to start us off, Aves?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
I would probably give it like a 6 out of 10, just because I think it's better to watch with other people. Like, I was watching it alone, so like,
as was I.
Yeah.
Jess was watching with me for like the first 30 minutes, but we literally watched it on Sunday night, and we'd just moved the day before, so we were both so tired, and she just fell asleep. So yeah, I told her to definitely finish it, and that I'd watch it with her, because I think you're exactly right. I think it's a lot better to do this with a group.
Talk about the game. He's like, oh, look at that in the background.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of like had pangs as I was watching, like, ooh, maybe we should have done this as a commentary. Like, there's a lot to react to, but I'm happy we're doing it in this sense, because this means that people will just kind of watch it of their own accord. Keep going, though. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's okay. I think my favorite scene would be either the bird one or the I liked the fight scene, just the way he would be like, ooh, ooh, and like his body, just the way his body moves around. And they're with Putty, Detective Putty or something, Captain Putty. And favorite character would probably also be Captain Putty. I just really like J.K. Simmons' voice. It's very soothing to me, but also very intimidating.
Oh my god, I love J.K. Simmons. I mean,
like,
he just,
in Invincible, I loved it. I love
his voice act. I mean, he's also in Legend of Korra as well,
yes, yeah,
so
yeah.
Great voice actor. Yeah, like they brought a lot of A-list like actors into this who are also just good voice actors. I love when like shows and movies do that. Like, all of these people, I think Andy Samberg is probably the only one who hasn't really done that much voice acting out of the whole cast. And I'm just looking at his... Oh, no, he did all the Hotel Transylvania movies. So, like, all of them have experience doing it before. Obviously, Will Arnett has done a lot of roles. One of his best is... Two of his best, Lego Batman and BoJack Horseman, are both animated. So I was really happy they did that as well.
Yeah.
All right. And your favorite scene?
Yeah, either the birds or their fight scene.
Right. Sorry. I'm just looking over me notes here. I agree. I was flip-flopping between 6 and 7. I'll go for 7. Just be on the more positive side of this one. I loved the voice cast. As I was just saying, you know, they got a bunch of experienced voice actors for this, which I think is an important skill to have for these kinds of things. I kind of hate when they just stunt cast an animated movie with a bunch of people who are so used to being in person on camera that when they just are acting alone in a booth, they come off as really flat and not great at the end of the day, which is kind of, you know, it happens in some other stuff that we won't go into. There's a really good video on YouTube that's like a kind of video essay about this kind of issue that is facing animated movies of, yeah, they bring in a lot of money, but also if you have a more all-star cast, but will it be as good I think it was mostly because of the Super Mario movie cast being announced, which has some great voice actors. It has Seth Rogen in it as fucking Donkey Kong and Jack Black. And as much as I dislike the fact that he's playing Mario, Chris Pratt is good in the Lego movies.
Yeah.
But like it also has Anya Taylor-Joy, who I don't really think has much voice acting experience,
Yeah.
and just like a bunch of random people. But I really like the voice cast. I mean, I'm just a huge... Take this all with a grain of salt. I am a massive Lonely Island fan, so just anything that has 2 or more of them involved in it, I'm probably going to enjoy a lot. Again, check out Popstar and Hot Rod if you haven't already. They are some of the best comedies of the last 20 years. I really like the blend of... I kind of already talked about this, slapstick visual gags with written one-liners and jokes and puns. I thought it was a good blend of that. Kind of something for everybody in terms of the comedy here. I just kind of felt, unlike fucking Space Jam 2, that this was like an actual ode to animation as an art form. And,
Yeah.
you know, its history, all of its pros, but also some of its cons as well. Like we get with the Uncanny Valley, like the shift to CG instead of hand-drawn animation, which can be just as beautiful and honestly kind of stands the test of time a little bit more. That you can go back and watch any animated Disney movie that was hand-drawn and they're all going to look good, but then you watch the first Toy Story movie and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like,
With Sid.
yeah,
Cursed.
all the humans in that movie are cursed as fuck. They have the same face. All of the children in the movie are the same, except for Sid, are just Andy, but recolored.
Yeah.
And same with all the parents. It's just the mom, but redesigned. So, okay. Off that. But I just really like that it was like kind of this nice love letter to animation, and obviously shows that the people involved grew up with. We're a little bit too young for like the Disney afternoon. We didn't really get that as kids. We had like Adult Swim and stuff, but I don't know if we were supposed to watch that.
Yeah.
But we never really had that, like, I don't know about you. Maybe like when I was, oh sorry, I just bumped my mic. Sorry, that probably sounded terrible. I didn't have cable growing up. So until I was like 10, didn't have cable. So all of my animated Saturday morning cartoons were coming through like ABC Family, and it was just like regurgitated stuff from Disney Channel and Pokemon episodes. So like our generation didn't really get that classic Saturday morning cartoon feel that so many people who grew up in the 90s remember fondly. Like it was still sort of a thing, but we just had so many more options growing up that, you know, this is like a fun kind of peek back. I love looking back at that kind of stuff. Back when I liked the Nostalgia Critic, I always liked whenever he would talk about kind of the Disney animated shows and Nickelodeon animated shows of his youth, because it was cool to see kind of a peek into this old culture that we didn't really get to engage with. Like all those old ads and shit, like all those commercials that were just insane during the 80s and 90s before they started to get really regulated when we were kids. I also just really loved the references to cameos. They never felt like too much or that anything was unwarranted. I was never rolling my eyes like, oh yeah, wow, they just did this so they could have a fucking Harry Potter reference. It always felt organic and part of the story and used in a creative way where the character was part of the joke itself. Or they were just innocently in the background, still living like a normal life, though. They weren't like just doing what they do in their movies and TV shows in the background. It was like Randy at a sauna, or like one random person from Big Mouth, or a fucking Autobot from Transformers going to school. It was cool to like just see them doing these normal things instead of cheering on the sidelines at a fucking weird basketball game. Maybe we should do Space Jam too. Oh my god. No, the first Space Jam I was so not a fan of, but watching the sequel made me feel bad for it. Like I was like, this is
slander. Gave me a Space Jam shirt.
Yeah, because I didn't want it.
Oh.
I got given it and I was like, nah, that ain't me. But yeah, so I was like, this is destroying the legacy of this movie that I barely like. Like, I'm pissed off about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should maybe do that as a commentary. I don't know. I don't know if I can sit through that movie, but I want to do it to put you and Jess through the pain. Maybe if you're here in person. We still got to do Cats at some point. But Mimi's got to be here for Cats as well.
I forgot.
Yeah, we got to bring back the Evan Hansen group.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
I really liked the pacing, and I liked the, heartwarming story, despite being cliche, even with its good kind of joke about how cliche the villain was. It was still, like, kind of predictable throughout the whole thing. But, at the end of the day, it is a kid's movie, so I'm okay with the story being a little bit formulaic if it's easier for kids to understand. I know that I am usually on the other side of that argument of saying if it's a family movie, like all movies should be able to be enjoyed by anybody. But when it comes to like the actual story structure, I totally understand going a little bit more generic with that, just in this case. So yeah, 7 out of 10. And I already said that the lighting and camera work were kind of weird and basic. I don't know if that was on purpose to make it seem like one of those movies or if that just happened to be a production thing. The score was left a little bit more to be desired, but other than that, I really liked a lot of what this movie had to offer. My favorite character, probably Dale. I like Dale a lot. I liked Andy Samberg's portrayal. I really appreciated that it was kind of a movie about the more goofy, stupid sidekick becoming a main part of something.
Yeah.
I thought that was fresh. I really, really liked the... for my favorite scene, I don't know if I liked the locker room break-in because of their stupid rap, or the con chase because of all of like the gags and references that were in that. But it might just be any time Ugly Sonic was on screen, because that was just fucking hilarious.
I forgot about him. I just blocked him out of my memory.
And that he came in to save the day at the end. Yeah, so that is our review on Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. Go check it out. It's on Disney Plus. If you've already paying for Disney Plus, it's no more money. Not much more money. No money. You're already paying for it, so watch it. It's a 97 minutes well spent. And that is the end of today's show. I'll see you next week for my birthday episode, which will be a commentary on something. So you don't have to check anything out before then. It'll be whatever it is. I'm turning...
It'll be what it be.
An age. But...
You don't want to...
Let's just say I can no longer be covered by my parents' health insurance. That's the age that I am.
Well, mine runs out next year.
Yeah.
So... And I'm not turning that age.
Cheers to that. Anyway, on the more fun side, it'll be good to sit down and watch a movie that I get to choose fully without having to consider anything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's your season, Gemini.
It's your season 2, Gemini. Yeah, we're the twins. We're the Geminis of the pod. And if you like this, thank you for leaving us a review on whatever you're watching or listening on. That is a big help. It puts us in front of other people. And we've been steadily growing, and I like to see that, and I thank you for anybody who's helped with that. The biggest way to help us, though, is to just tell someone else to check us out. If you want to send them a review episode, that's probably the easiest one to get them hooked with or started with, because there's not really much more you have to do with the review episode. You just listen to it. You don't have to sync up a movie to it, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. And I'm on it. So
yeah, and Avery's on it. You get more of a dynamic. Normally it's 3 people. It's having that third person just really helps with the flow. Like there's never a dull moment. And if you like us, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere as @MovieNightMates. On Twitter, we are @MovieNightMates with the number 8. You can follow me on Instagram @TheAmazingSpider_Dan. So The Amazing Spider Dan. And you can follow Jess, who is normally on this show, @Miesica_ everywhere. And Avery, where can people find you if you want them to find you?
Yeah, I guess. No, Amos and Gav On Instagram, that's the only thing I have.
Nice. That's the good way to just consolidate it to one.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. And thank you so much for listening to this. We will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. I'm doing a chipmunk voice. Bye. Bye.